I don't know who need to hear this, but don't half-ass me.
And she's absolutely right. Because people have a tendency to half ass certain situations and not full ass them. When I say full ass, I mean giving it your all. I mean the same shit that you give somebody, you should be able to handle it when they give you that same shit back. So this statement right here triggered me. Not only did it trigger me, it triggered a story time about how somebody thought it was a good idea to try to half-ass me. You can't half-ass a whole ass because then you'll be ended up looking like an ass. Story time on this ass that tried to ask me. Okay, before I happily got my behind expelled from Dunbar, it was a girl there. And this girl, she was light skinned, she was short, and she was popular because her brothers then was popular. And they were popular because they was on the football team. But this girl liked this one guy. And when she liked this guy, she made no bones about that she liked him. She liked him, everything he said in class or whatever, she actually would laugh. And it wouldn't even be funny. And he was like an average Joe. He wasn't like one of those kind of boys that, you would be like, ooh, no, he wasn't. But she made him out to be, so it gassed his head up. It didn't just gas his head up, it gassed his friend's head up around him. But me being to the point where I was like standoffish, I still didn't see the whole reason why she, made a big deal about it. Every time he got his hair cut, it was all your hair is looking nice and I'm drowning in your waves and all this other stuff. But I'm still looking around like, oh, okay. Throw her a life jacket. Maybe she is drowning. I don't know. But anyway, she specifically would make reference to, like, if he sat by somebody or he his attention was on somebody else, she would make it her business, like to scoot her chair where he was and to make him feel like he was number one. He's number one. He's number one. When he was number four, but okay. But nevertheless, she made a big deal out of this dude, which was fine with me. Who am I? I'm nobody. You know what I'm saying? Still, I'm laid back in the cut. I'm sitting in the back of the class. They like in the middle of the class, and then the smart people was in the front of the class. You already know how that was. I wasn't saying I was bad. I was saying that I was sitting with the people in the back. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Well, she noticed me. When she noticed me, she would make reference to, because remember I told y'all she was short. She would make reference to, oh, which one? The tall girl? Oh, which one? The dark skinned girl? What's her name? And she would do this. This is what drove me crazy. Girl, what? Anyway, she was getting on my nerves because she would make it her business to pick out everybody's flaws in the class, and he would laugh at it and he would be like on her bandwagon. So they was perfect for each other, but nevertheless, he chose me as his victim and I wasn't going for it. So this is what happened. Now keep in mind, this was like the third or fourth week of school. So everybody that wore out their little new clothes at the beginning of the school year. Everybody's hair is combed, everybody looking cute and whatever the case may be. Me on the other hand, I'm just still laid back in the back of class. But I'm with, my little friends that came from my prior school. I'm with them, so I'm comfortable with them, but I'm not comfortable around him or her. Well, she decided, well, one day she had always that and she had always made reference to the tall girl, the tall girl, the tall girl. Now she didn't know that I had a flip side. No, she didn't know that I had a side B. But this one particular time, I had menstrual cramps. I was cramping, girl. I wasn't in the mood. I came in the classroom and I was back there and I had my head down and this, that, and other. She waited and good ready to class started and she goes to help and hit the teacher like, well, the tall girl in the back, she got her head down on the desk or whatever, and this, that, and the third. Now keep in mind, the boy that she was trying to impress, he was in the class when she said this. I wasn't feeling good. I had already pulled the teacher to the side and told the teacher what was going on. My teacher told me it was okay for me to put my head down just until, because I had took some ibuprofen or whatever. And Midol. I had took some Midol. And the Midol was getting ready to kick in. So the cramps was there, but they wasn't really like severe, but they was still there. Well, she decided to make reference that I had my head down in class. And when she made reference to that I had my head down, when she said it, I immediately lifted up off of the desk, my head. And I turned to her, I said, "Why can't you mind your business?" As soon as I said that, everybody got quiet because keep in mind I wasn't loud in class, even though I was snickering and stuff with the people that I knew that was in my class from my previous school. She didn't know that I had a whole other side of me that nobody in the class had seen. But when I kind of chewed her out, the boy that she liked, I noticed from that day forth, he would kind of sit close to where I was sitting at, but not really, but close enough where he would, "Hey, Monica, how's everything going?" And then I'm going to sit over there. Y'all seem like y'all having a good old time sitting over there and this, that, and the third. And it still didn't bother me. It didn't get to me or whatever until he asked for my phone number. When he snuck and asked for my phone number, this changed the game between me and him because now I want to know, why did you ask for my phone number? That was one. And two, why was you asking me for my phone number but you was sneaking and asking me? It'd be different if you asked me in front of everybody but you snuck and did it. So when he asked me for my number, it kind of threw a red flag for me because why are you asking me for my number but you sneaking and doing it? So I kept my guard up. Even though I gave him my number, I kept my guard up. And I kept it up high. But I went to Monique and I asked Monique, I said, "Monique, you know this name?" She like, "Yeah." She was like, "His brother is such a whoop-de-woo, scooby-bop. I don't give a damn who he is." Okay. So I'm like, "Why would he ask me for my number?" She said, "Monica, he being funny." So immediately that put me on the defensive. Now I'm being defensive. He called me like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." He was like, "You got time to talk?" I'm like, "Yeah." We're on the phone for a little minute or whatever. He asked me, about am I dating anybody? Whoop de whoop, scooty bop. I don't give a crap still. I'm like, "No." He like, "Why you sound like that? You don't sound happy to talk to me." I said, "Because I'm not. I don't talk on the phone like that." I said, "But okay." So he was like, "Well, are you coming to school tomorrow?" Of course, I live with Mary King. I'm coming to school. Yeah, I'm coming to school whether I'm dead or not. I'm coming to school. He like, "Well, I'll see you tomorrow in school and this and that, third, whatever." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he kind of started walking me down the hallway and stuff. She noticed it. But see, what it was, I'm thinking now that she may or may not have to put him up to it, being funny. But what she didn't know that I give off the same energy that you give to me. But nevertheless, I let it slide because I was feeling him out. I wanted to see how he reacted to certain things. So I waited until he was in one of his classes and I walked to the door of the class, full blown class. And I was like, "Hey, I thought you said you was gonna call me back." Everybody turned and looked at him, and he looked at them, and this, that. He was like, "I'm gonna talk to you after class." That's when I knew he was on some BS. But I let it slide because I knew deep down in my heart I was going to have to hurt his feelings. But I didn't know when I was going to have to hurt his feelings, but I knew that I was. So fast forward a little bit to homecoming. It was a homecoming. It's either homecoming or whatever it was. It was homecoming. It was the first football game or whatever the case may be with Dunbar. So we all went to the Dunbar game and all this other stuff, and everybody sitting up in the stands or whatever the case may be. But he didn't sit with me. He sat with her. But I noticed it, but it didn't bother me because I wasn't catching feelings for this dude. And I was praying to God that he wasn't catching feelings for me because he was an average schmo. You know what I'm saying? And I was average, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't on all that dating and all being that holding hands and writing notes and stuff like this. That wasn't. Later on that same day, he pulled me to the side. He was like, "Monica, my business is my business." He was like, "I wish you would have had pulled me to the side and asked me." I said, "I did the same thing you did." I said, "You asked for my number because you pulled me to the side." I said, "But I was up front with you. I went on ahead and asked you in front of everybody." I said, "Because I just wanted to know how this was going to go or whatever the case may be. He was like, well, Monica, still, you shouldn't even had to do all that. You shouldn't have to do all that. He was like, you was trying to make a scene. I'm like, oh, okay. So when we got home that day, he called me. I was standing next to my mother when she answered the phone. And I told her this. She was like, Monica, tell the phone. I said, who is it? She was like, such and such and so and so. I said, tell him I'm busy. And I left it at that. So he really wasn't feeling the fact that I had told my mom to tell him that I was busy. So he called himself, now he's offended. Now he's offended. I'm going to kill that damn fly. Now he's offended. He's all in his feelings because I said something to him. I actually ghosted him in his face. And I meant that. So I didn't accept any more calls from him for maybe about 2 to 3 weeks. He pops over to my house. So when he popped over to my house, I looked like, he was like, Micah, can we go walking and this, that, and the third? I'm like, oh, okay. I said, but when? I said, because right now I'm busy. I said, but what day do you want to do all this? He was like, well, I'll be over here Saturday. We can go walking or whatever the case may be, whatever you want to do. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, but still, I don't like for people just to pop over my house. I said, it would have been nice if you had called me and let me know. Now, keep in mind, this was on like a Tuesday that he did this. Well, that Wednesday and that Thursday, I noticed that him and her would be like snickering and all this other stuff. I didn't know what it was for. I wasn't like really pressed about it, but I would notice them snicker in the corner, him and her. You know what I'm saying? But when he was snickering in the corner, it was her little friends and his little friends. And I would notice, like, if I walked past or something like this, she would make little references like, there go your girlfriend, there go your little girlfriend, there go your little girlfriend. But then this one particular day, she was like, there go your tall girlfriend. So I knew that I was either going to have to put hands to her or I was going to have to hurt her feelings because she was back on that same BS. But now that I know that him and her is still in cahoots about something, I still had to find out what it was. But little did he know, I think he misjudged the fact that I was kind of quiet and laid back. I think he misjudged me because the day that all this jumped off, this is what happened. So that Saturday came. So I ended up getting all my stuff done around the house or whatever the case may be. I didn't have to work that day. So I got everything done. He came over. And when he came over, first we started off sitting on my porch. Then we went from sitting on my porch, we walked around and we walked around and we walked around and started getting dusk outside. Now, coming through Broadway Park is a hut. It's a hut up in Broadway Park, in the middle of Broadway Park. So he was like, we can sit right here on the table and this, that. When we got ready to sit on the table, I sat on the table, he stood in front of me. When he stood in front of me, he like got up close and he started like trying to rub on me and then wanted me to stand up so he could get real close up on me. Close. Okay, so he gets up close on me and he rubbing on me, stuff started reacting on him. Now keep in mind, I had been noticing that him and this girl had been like snickering and stuff like this. But if you was trying to date me or if you was trying to be with me or whatever the case you call yourself doing, you wouldn't have been snickering and stuff with her. But I kept my guards up, just like I said, and I had good reason. Because the whole time he trying to turn me around and rub up against me and turn me around and in the front and rub up against me and stuff like this, he's reacting. So when I see and noticed what he was doing, I kind of pushed him away. He was like, Monica, he was like, what? He was like, you don't like what's going on and this is, I'm like, no, like that. He was like, well, still, he was like, well, just give me a hug. When he gave me a hug, he put my arms around his shoulders and he was like close up on me. Now I'm pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Now I know what you're doing. Okay, he still ain't getting to first base, no base. He's still damn near in the dugout. But, okay, nevertheless, I'm going to let you go ahead and try to do what you're going to do. Because, see, now I'm gathering information on you. What you should have did was you should have checked my background before you went and tried to do some old stupid stuff like this. I said, but, okay, yeah, I'm going to let you go ahead. He rubbing and he touching and he trying to get to first base. He still ain't getting nowhere. But the story was on Monday that he did. The story was that he went back to school and he told them that we had done something, and I know that we hadn't. But see, when he told this story, somebody in my class went and referenced it to my sister, and she pulled me to the side third period and she asked me about it. And I told her these words. No, he ain't did nothing to me. But see, I had fifth period with him and her. So I couldn't wait to get to fifth period. I could not wait to get to fifth period so that I could let him know what he had told these people. He had told them not only did we do it in the hut, but we did it in the hut, and I let him do it to me on the park table in the hut. Me, Mary King's daughter. Keep in mind, small disclaimer, I'm an asshole. I do asshole shit. So what did I do? By it being still early in the morning, I knew I had fifth period class with him, and he had already spilled the beans and said that I had did it, and I know that I didn't because Mary King would have killed him and me. Okay, but I went and started telling my own story. I started telling everybody how little his winker was. I started telling everybody not only how little his winker was, but that when he was rubbing up against me, he had a full spill in the front of his pants. Not only did I tell them these things, but not only did I tell them that he had a little winker, his winker was little. You know what I'm saying? But I also said it was little and skinny. Okay? So by the time he got to fifth period and I got to fifth period, it had all went around, it had all collaborated around the school. What he had said and what I had said. So he was mad. He was big mad. He was mad. I kept tossing my behind in that damn class. He couldn't wait to say something. He said, how dare you sit there and tell that lie on me? I had the nerve to turn around and look at him and tell him, oh, no. But it was the same kind of thing that you did to me. It wasn't okay for me to do it back to you. I said, in order for me to stop lying on you, you need to stop lying on me. He was like, Monica, but it wasn't a lie. I said, not only was it a lie, but it was a treacherous lie. But see, you didn't like it when I was telling everybody about your little situation. And I know that you couldn't have been possibly telling anybody that kind of situation about me because you couldn't even identify anything on me. But I can identify stuff on you because keep in mind, the kind of pants you had on was thin. So the next time I seen him, of course he didn't speak to me anymore. You know, then he had to try to clean it up because, see, he decided to tell a malicious lie on me, but then when I turned around and told a malicious lie on him, it wasn't right. But then his girlfriend came to his defense and was like, we only did it, he only was even trying to talk to you to try to be funny. Well, joke's on you, sister, because not only did he not win this fight with me, but now your boyfriend is known as Teeny Tiny Weenie. Okay? So the next time you want to push that BS off on somebody, remember, if it feels good to you, it's going to feel even better to them. True story.